What is up, everyone, on this wonderful Sunday evening? Over here on the West Coast, we're at 6 o'clock. On the East Coast, a little past 9. Here we are doing our fourth edition of draft prospects that the Buffalo Bills should be looking at. And today we get into some of the sexiest players, the skilled positions, the wide receivers, tight end, running backs. Up until now, we've been talking about that old line. But trust me, trust all of us. That's where the Bills should be focusing. And we should pick up one of these guys for me in the later rounds. But these guys have different opinions. They're all great. And we're going to get into it. But we're going to take a little bit of time today. I need a little fun today. It's been a rough week. I think I deserve some fun with my friends. So I want to just go around real quick and see how everyone's doing. Brett, how you doing this week, man? How you doing on a Sunday, I should say?
Dude, I'm doing great. We just had the Sunday sit down that kicked off today, so I'm so glad to get that going. But I'm so glad to be with you guys. That's the most important thing to me is enjoying a little bit of football talk. We can't enjoy football season right now, but we can enjoy football talk today. We can talk about the draft, talk about some free agents too. And I'm looking forward to the next season to come, and I'm looking forward to the next prospects for the Buffalo Bills to go after too.
Good stuff. And by the way, Brett, if you don't know already, come on. If you've been watching us, you got to know he's over at the Go Bills podcast. Get on over to his YouTube channel. He's on all types of social media, but get over to his YouTube channel. Smash that subscribe button for him. I mean, he's up and coming. He's got a lot of great stuff that he's bringing. And he built out our slides and the content we're going to be presenting. So thank you very much, Brett, this week. Then we got over here from the Red, White, and Bills, the coolest of the coolest, Mr. Sean Kula. Sean, how you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Everybody notices the world champ gear. Hopefully this brings some luck to our Buffalo Bills and we can wear this merch for them next season. So I'll be wearing it periodically just to try to spread some good luck because we definitely need it.
What team's on there?
Washington.
Okay. I couldn't see the team there, the logo.
Yeah, but I mean, they were a team that they defied the odds. They weren't meant to be where they were, and then they went on a rampage and just beat all these great playoff teams. And then they were kind of like us. They were pretty good for a decent amount of years. Then they had a great team built to win. You're like, oh, why aren't they winning? Then all of a sudden they went and won. But the only thing different is I hope that we continue success because the Nationals, they started to rebuild after they won the World Series, which baseball is different, but I'm hoping that we can win and then we can further the success. And that's why I always mention we got to get young. And what better time to talk about getting young than draft talk?
Draft talk. Beautiful. I love it. And then over to my left tonight, we're kind of a little switched up. We're trying something new. Jake says, I like to be on the left, Mike. Can you go over to the right tonight? So we're trying it out. But how are you doing, Mr. Jake Padre, who has the coolest backdrop of anyone you'll find?
That.
Look at all that memorabilia behind him and those Ford TVs. I mean, my goodness. Jake, how you doing tonight, man?
There's a reason why I have such bad ADD. I mean, it's like you can't just look at one thing at once. And doing great, Mike. We're here on the eve of free agency technically opening, tomorrow at noon Eastern, which is pretty cool. You can start negotiating with players and bringing them in and potentially getting things set up for Wednesday when the new league year officially begins. So super pumped up to be here with you guys. I think it's right that we're meeting tonight talking about these draft prospects as well. I think, people are here to see the sexier positions and see what we think about, who the Bills should potentially take. And, if there's a chance that we can get a really good playmaker. So fired up, boys, ready to go.
All right. Well, let's get into it. We're going to start with running backs. Then we're going to get into wide receivers. And then we're going to finish with tight ends. So this should be a lot of fun. Each one of us has one person from each of those segments that I just mentioned. If you're out in the channel, once again, give us your thoughts and make sure you get out to all our YouTube channels and give us a like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. I usually like to say that later, but I always forget. I get too into it with these guys. So let's roll. Let's start off with the first guy. We're going to start with the running back here. Let's make sure I click the right thing here. There we go. Tank Bigsby. And Jake Podger is going to be talking about Jake to start things off.
Yeah. So, Cartavius Tank Bigsby is his name. The reason why he got the name Tank is because when he was a toddler, he was just running into stuff all the time, and he just get up like nothing ever happened. So great story about that. So they just called him Tank since he was a real little kid. This is Shady McCoy 2.0. I think he is as versatile as a back as you can get. Super good at his jump cuts are probably the most impressive trait about him. The way that he's able to, make things happen in open space and, take care of things out there and, basically make plays when things probably shouldn't happen the way that they end up happening. It's extremely impressive, man. I love Tank Bigsby a lot. I'm not saying that the Bills should take him, but if he's available, there has to be a conversation around him because I think he does bring a lot of talent, and he is a playmaker. He's a game changer. So this is a guy that can come here, do really well in a zone scheme. He can complement James Cook extremely well. Obviously running back isn't our first need, but it is another weapon. And I think, the ability that he possesses is definitely worthy of maybe a late second round, early third round pick. So would love to get a guy like him. My best comparison, obviously, as I mentioned, is Shady McCoy. Runs a little upright. People are a little critical about that. I think he fumbled 4 times as well in 2021 specifically. I read a stat about that. But I'll tell you what, I think he's electric in open field, and he can make plays when things look pretty grim. So would love to get a guy like this. And he was coached under Cadillac Williams at Auburn. So he's got a nice coaching pedigree that he's coming from. So not too shabby, boys.
Yeah, I like it, Jake. I mean, I'm all about getting a complimentary back to James Cook this year, whether that's earlier. For me, I know you're taking this guy. If we're going to grab this guy, he's going to have to be taken by the 3rd round, most likely.
Yeah. I'd say 2nd round, he's probably going to go.
I'm on the other side a little bit. I'm kind of looking in the later rounds, but I do agree. We need a running back to complement a Cook. I don't know if Singletary's going to be back. All signs right now, I haven't heard anything, so not sure he's going to be back. But even still, I want a bigger, more physical back who can take some of that pressure off Josh Allen. When we need it, when we need to grind out a few yards. I want a big physical guy to be able to come in and not have Josh Allen have to do it all. And we saw last year, James Cook, to me, kind of shied away from getting physical, right? It just felt like that. And I don't know what you guys think, and when I throw it to you, maybe you can give me your thoughts. But if we have a nice complimentary back to him who's a little bigger and not afraid to get physical. And let's see, what's his, is there anything talking about his receiving skills?
That's kind of an area where he can do it. He caught 30 balls this year. I think one of the knacks on him is that he doesn't have the best hands per se, but I think he's been labeled as an all-purpose back. In my opinion, I think he can do it. I think he can handle it. It's something that you can improve on, so I'm not too worried about it, Mike. I think the most impressive thing is just his jump cut, his one cut and burst. I mean, it's so impressive. You saw a little bit of that at the combine if you watched him. And his NFL frame, I mean, for him, he's got an NFL frame. So 5'11", 210, I think he'll fit perfectly, and he'll be able to contribute very early to any team.
All right. Brett, you got any thoughts on Mr. Tank himself?
Well, he is built more like a typical running back in the NFL. He also has the size and a bunch of characteristics that do remind me so much of LaShawn McCoy. I think that he would fit into Buffalo's scheme, especially with Aaron Kromer running the zone blocking, where you have a guard that pulls outside, and then he can follow the blockers. So I think he would fit very well into Buffalo's scheme, but I just think it's a little too early to take a running back in this situation, especially when we need offensive line help. But I do like the pick. I think he would fit into Buffalo very well.
Sean, what's your thoughts on Tank?
I love his speed and agility. Like, that jumps out at me first because it seems like our backs were kind of slow to get by the line of scrimmage. So I think in the event that we don't do anything with our offensive line, which is a good possibility, it'd be nice to have someone who could beat defenders on the line of scrimmage and just be like Jake said, he's got a great jump cut, and it'd be awesome just to have someone with that agility and speed who could eventually burn them and get good straightaway speed as well. But again, I think 3rd or 4th round would be a good spot for him. And, if by the 3rd or 4th round we hit our needs, which hopefully we hit offensive line, and he's there, then you got to make a choice. If we're not bringing Motor back and we're not bringing Hines back, get a guy like Tank Bigsby.
If he's available in the 3rd, 4th round, that's an incredible steal for us. I think at that point, you might have to have the conversation and just say, hey, let's take the best available player on the board. It'll be very, very interesting if he's still left on the board at that time. And I'd be pretty pumped about it. I think at that point you just take him.
Sean, I'm going to put you on the
Yes.
spot here.
Sure.
Are you bringing back Motor or Hines?
Well, I would bring back Motor. I mean, I hope we bring him back, but I mean, with Hines, we put a 5th round pick and a player into him, and we thought we'd get more out of him in the offense, but we didn't. So I mean, I guess we didn't really know what he could have really been for us, but I definitely would bring back Motor because I feel like he would also come back on a decent deal. And he's been great with us, and I want to see him behind a good O-line. So if we can build a good O-line, I want to see what Motor's really capable of, because the best O-line we had with him was in 2019, and he missed 4 games and it still had over 800 rushing yards. So I'd be interested to bring him back, but again, I don't know what we got planned. I would pick Motor over Hines for sure.
If we bring him back, does he take the starting role, or are we inserting James Cook in and saying, hey, this is your backfield, Devin Singletary is going to be your complement?
I think if you bring him back because you're re-signing him, it's it's his job to lose.
Yeah.
So I mean, because Cook is still on a rookie deal, so it'd be okay. Motor, we're bringing you back for this amount of years, this amount of money. You're going to be the starter going into camp, and you can easily lose it just as easily as you got it. So, but I think you still got to get both of them work. But I think Singletary would be the featured back.
I think it's more of 1A, 1B type of situation where you can utilize either one. It depends on the game plan that you can use. But I think both of them fit into Buffalo very well. And I think that, just depending on the hot hand, you could do something like a situation where San Francisco did it a few years ago in their Super Bowl run, and have whoever's the hot hand going in, and you could potentially keep Nyheim Hines as well, have 3 good running backs, or you could potentially move on and say, hey, let's get out of the $4.7 million that we can save. You can utilize that towards Devin Singletary and draft a running back too. So there's a lot of options for Buffalo to do.
Moral of the story is, do not take a Bills running back in fantasy this year. Just don't do it.
Right.
'Cause you're going to hate yourself.
I love Motor. You guys know that. I mean, I won a bet with him this year against Jake. I've been a supporter of his
Forgot about that.
for a while. But if it means moving on from him to go to somebody a little bigger, a little more of a, I don't know. I mean, he's a playmaker, but he's not a game changer in my mind. And I'm not saying, like, I'm tripping all over my words here. I'm not saying that these big backs will be that type of person. They don't all have breakaway speed like a Derrick Henry. However, I just want a more physical guy to complement Cook, because I think he is going to be, he should be the starter. I really do. But let me ask you this, Jake. If we do bring back Motor, does that diminish the need? Are we not going to draft running back and focus on other things?
Yeah, I would absolutely say it diminishes the need. I think already, we're already looking at our roster in this very moment, and I think running back is still pretty far down the list when you're looking at immediate needs. I mean, you talk about losing Tremaine Edmonds and Jordan Poyer as well. Depending on what we do in free agency, I mean, those are also potential needs, and I'd actually probably put linebacker and safety over running back. So I think it's just so far down the list. Right now we're talking about running backs, but really we're talking about just if they're the best available player on the board, do we take a shot on them? It's an extra weapon for Josh. You have a guy like Tank Bigsby, who is an all-purpose guy who can contribute in the pass game and just be super elusive and shifty in the open field. So, I would say if we bring back Motor, absolutely it diminishes the need, and it actually pushes it even farther down.
Yeah. Well, you did tell me you're not a fan of best player available.
I'm not.
So, I mean,
I'm really not, to be
I'm
honest.
all
I'm more of a
about
need guy.
Yeah, I'm all about that too this year. But we got a lot to talk about. We're already on one slide, and I love it. I love it.
Here we go, guys. 15
Here we go.
minutes in.
Let's move on to the second guy on the radar for running backs, and that's going to be Sean, Sean, did you do this on purpose? Like, got to get a name with your just pick a guy with your first name. Sean Tucker, going to be talked about by Sean Kula.
Oh, yeah. So when you look up all-purpose in the dictionary, Sean Tucker is the guy that comes up first. This guy was a well-oiled machine for Syracuse, and I know I'm a Syracuse fan, so that's kind of why I picked him. It's because I've seen him so much. But when I think of a guy, when you want to talk about complimenting James Cook, yeah, he's a little bit on the shorter side, but as just like Motor, they're over 200 pounds, solid. He's pretty quick on the field. I know his 40 times is 4 or 5, but he's fast on the field. He's great in receiving, and he doesn't go down. He's tough. He's gritty, and he's just that guy will just you coming right at him, contact. He's just gonna lower his shoulder into you, put a juke move on you. He wants to do something for the team. He wants to be the guy who gets first downs, gets the touchdowns, anyway, catching, running. He'll block too. He's a guy that I would really like. And in the 4th round, I think that'd be, like I said, I don't think we need a running back, but if he's available and if he even drops to the 5th round for some reason and all the needs are met and we do think, we're not bringing Motor back, he's a guy that I think could come in if he gets playing time, because you know how we are with playing rookies, but he could come right in, fit like a glove, and it'd just be electric to have him in the backfield with James Cook.
I like it. Let me throw it to you, Brett, for your thoughts on Mr. Tucker.
Well, I'm just like Sean. I'm a big Syracuse fan, and right now I'm a little disappointed after losing Jim Boeheim after his 47th season. So I'm a little bit disappointed in that. But I've watched a lot of Syracuse football this year, and watching Sean Tucker and the way that he runs and what he brought to the Syracuse offense in the first 6 games of the year, he was excellent. He's a run returner specialist, which will help in special teams. He's also a running back that can be a 1A or 1B in a scheme. And I think he fits exactly what Buffalo is looking for. And I think he's a great receiver, and he fits, pretty much what Buffalo needs in a running back. So can't wait to see him on the field. I think he's going to be good with a pull guard too.
Jake, do you agree?
Absolutely agree. He's perfect for the zone scheme. And what's great about him is he's such a patient runner. And I'll tell you this, guys, I would love to get one of his teammates in the 2nd round, potentially in Matthew Bergeron. But then if Sean Tucker's available in the 4th, we still need a running back. Absolutely would be a great option. I think he'd be a very nice fit in this backfield. So I'm all for it. And just a follow-up question for you, Sean. What do you think about Dino Babers? What are they gonna do with him? Does he deserve to be fired? I know he should have probably been fired like 3 years ago, but
very long
keep
ago.
him around. What's the deal?
I don't know. They haven't fired him yet, so I feel like they're going to bring him back again. And
for sure. Too late in the game now to fire him.
I feel like the major collapse they had last year should have been enough to fire him, but it's hard to tell with college because they kind of will just be like, well, new people are coming in, new people are leaving, or old people are leaving, so maybe they give them more leeway with college. But we were 6-0, and then we kind of screwed ourselves against Clemson, and then we finished 7-6.
7 right,
something like that.
That's
we
tough,
were ranked in the top 20, but none of that was Sean Tucker's fault. Sean Tucker was an absolutely amazing part of the team, and the quarterback, and that's where I was really thinking of it too. Is like the quarterback wasn't that good, and they had to heavily rely on Sean Tucker, whether it was receiving or running. And he did have a better season, the quarterback, than last year. I don't even know his name because I hate him so much because he stinks. But Tucker was a very reliable guy in any situation. And again, even if you're down by a lot, he was able to still contribute in the pass game. So again, it'd be awesome to get a guy like this in the Bills because that's kind of what we drafted James Cook for. But he's another guy where he didn't go to Georgia or anything, but James Cook didn't have a lot of experience in college, and Sean Tucker has. So I'd like to. I think at any team he's going to join, he'll be a great asset. But especially for us, it fits exactly what we like to do.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to trust you and Jake. My one concern is that he's a junior, so he lacks that experience. My other concern, and this is just the criteria that I have for all the players that I'm drafting this year, they better be 6 feet or over. And the size is good. I'd like about 250. If I'm going with that big bruising back, I want a guy around 215, 220. But that's my only thing, just the lack of experience, which might be a good thing. He's fresh. And I take these with a grain of salt because you can talk to 5 different experts out there, and one will say he lacks power, and one will say he's just a powerful guy and is aggressive and at the point of attack. So I don't know too much about that, but I will trust you guys on your decision here. So if he's available in the 4th round and we're still looking running back, I'll trust you guys. We'll take this
Well,
guy.
I just
Although
want to
think
say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got to say something to the size thing, Mike. So arguably the two best backs in NFL history, 1 and 2, in my opinion, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, both about yay high. Walter Payton, I think, was 5'10". Barry Sanders, what, 5'8", maybe? So
They better be able to dance, though, Jake. I mean, Barry's, come on, man. You better
know.
be able to, like,
know.
they were like Tyreek Hill with moves. Like, these guys were unbelievable, especially
they
Barry
were insane.
Sanders. My
They were another
God.
level. And listen, we're not going to compare Sean Tucker to Barry Sanders, all right? But I'm
Absolutely.
just saying,
That'd
as
be
a
awesome.
rebuttal to your size thing, especially for running backs,
I get you.
I don't
There's
mind them being a little shorter.
Yeah, there's always a rebuttal to what I'm saying, but that's just my criteria. I'm just
like
saying.
I like
All
it.
right,
I like
let's
it.
move
Switch it
on
up.
to the next guy here, and I believe this is going to be the young gun himself. Oh
It's
no,
actually
he switched.
you,
He
Mike.
switched
Good
it
job.
up on me. Here we go.
6 foot.
Here's your next Buffalo Bill. If we're drafting a running back, this is my man. This is my man for a couple reasons. Played for Texas, right? I keep going after guys, although I'm going to go back on that with a couple other guys that I say. I always think of Sean. I'm like, he's only going to be happy if it's a big time school. There you go. Doesn't get much
Right.
bigger than that. He's a senior. So a lot of experience. Although Jake, I think you're gonna talk about a little bit. I think he was a backup this year, right? To
Yes.
Bijan,
Bijan Robinson,
right?
yeah.
And I believe that I hear a rumor. I don't know if this is true, that both of these backs were at dinner with the Bills. Now I don't know if that's true. Is that
Correct.
true? Do we have confirmation of that?
It's
All right.
true. Yeah, they're at dinner with the Bills this week.
So the Bills are reading my mind. Again, they watch our show. They're listening to us. So I hope they watch the show again here. He's projected in the 5th, which I find a hard time believing. Anyhow, 220 pounds, depends where you look. He made Bruce Feldman's freak list. And I mean, anytime you do that, that's a plus there. And I'll read you what Bruce Feldman said. Now, Bruce Feldman, again, this is why I always, the size and the speed of these guys. Bruce Feldman said the 6'2", 223-pound senior has seamlessly transitioned from college quarterback. So check. There's another reason I like this guy. Hey, you saw what happened in the San Francisco 49er championship game. If we need a quarterback and we got to go to a running back, he's our guy. Rashawn will step in and be that quarterback. So check. Let's see. What else did he say? So he's transitioned well to running back. Has a per carry average of 5.5 on 299 carries with 18 touchdowns. Fantastic. So when he does get a chance to play, that average yards per carry is amazing. He's also got good receiving skills. So physical guy. They're saying he won't create a lot of separation. I don't know about that. You slam into somebody, you be aggressive with someone and knock them over. I mean, you'll get a lot of separation. He does say lacks the ability as a run blocker. Again, a run blocker. I don't know. You're a running back. Who you run blocking for? I don't know what that means. So I'm not sure if that's I'm running. I want the guys in front of me run blocking. So dang it, who am I blocking for? We don't run two backs. Lacks run after catch ability. You know what? If he can catch the ball and he's that big, he's going to get a couple yards. That's all I need out of this young man. And he's more of a cut blocker than a guy who will stick his face in against the blitz. I don't buy that one either. Anyhow, this guy fits all the criteria that I have. I do believe we should not go after best available. We should focus on our needs and then find these gems in the later rounds. And I'm not sure he'll be there in 5th round. He had a great Senior Bowl. He had a great combine. And I'm sure he's rising up on the radar for many teams. So anyhow, that's my guy. Let me throw it to you, Jake, to talk about him first.
Yeah, I think when you look at Roschon Johnson, he's a model of consistency. I think he starts on any other college team, most likely. It's just the fact of the matter is he's behind a freak in Bijan Robinson, who's going to go in the 1st round. So this is a guy that I think will be a steal. He may go a little bit later just because he didn't have as much experience. But as you mentioned, Mike, what he did with the time and with the carries that he was given was extremely impressive. And I actually disagree with one of the cons saying that he doesn't like to stick his nose in and, pick up the blitz and he's more of a cut block guy. I think from what I've seen on film, that is one of his greatest traits, one of the most underrated things about a running back that I think sometimes gets overlooked is blitz pickup. I think it's extremely important. And him being a really good receiver, I mean, even if he can get a chip on a guy and then go out and catch a pass, screen pass, swing pass, whatever it may be, I mean, that is something that is invaluable. So would love for the Bills to have a shot at a guy like this. He runs extremely physical. He's that bruiser back. He has that mentality, Mike. He runs, extremely well. He protects the football. So I love this prospect a lot. Glad we took him out to dinner because he might be available, might be a nice late round gem for us.
I mean, Sean, that's got to be something serious, right? If they brought him to Buffalo or take him out to dinner, I mean, it's interesting that they brought both of them out there, right? It's like Bijan. Are they really?
So it's right before their. I think it's right before the pro day at Texas. So I think they were out that way. But yeah, I mean, it's great to see. I mean, I would say that's worthy of a pretty serious consideration for the Bills if they're taking them out to dinner. So
yeah. They're definitely interested in the people and the player they are. Obviously, when you're bringing someone out, you want to get to know them more on a personal level. So they're probably trying to fit their culture, and their process that they've been telling us since they got here. So maybe they're trying to see how are they as a person, how do they talk when we talk with them, how do they present themselves, are they slouching like I am right now, or are they upright and attentive in the conversation? So they're all probably just continuing the evaluation, and definitely means a lot. Weird that you have both of them, because then it's like they're probably thinking to themselves like, well, they want him, or Roshan's probably thinking, oh, they want him for sure. But then I'm like a fall guy maybe if they don't pick him in the first round. But I think they just, I wouldn't know for experience, but I'm sure they're just excited to meet with other NFL coaches and see what they can bring to the table. So, I mean, personally, I love it. 6 foot, 220. It's basically like me in my prime. So no, it's a perfect fit. I mean, we usually get the smaller all-purpose guys, and we haven't. Again, I want to see what we have with an O-line first, but a guy like him could be really great if we get a good O-line, because then you can use him in the red zone more and short yardage, so you don't have to use Josh and things of that nature. So I wouldn't be opposed to it, especially if it's the fifth. And if there's a possibility he could dip into the sixth, that'd be really cool too for us, since it's even more of a chance that it could fit a need in the sixth round if we cover everything. But that might be asking for too much, because he might even go to the fourth. Who knows? But definitely wouldn't be angry about it.
I mean, he does look really good in that Texas orange.
He does.
I mean, look at him. He's a good-looking guy. So I got to ask you, Sean, though, if they took Bijan and this gentleman out to dinner, and the Bills took a running back in the first round, are you going to lose it? Are you going to lose it on live? Because we're going to be live that night when the Bills take their first pick.
I don't know if you want that.
Would you go nuts if they took a running back? Tell me.
I would go like this and shut the computer down, and then probably wouldn't do content for a few days. Oh man, I mean, my friend, like two of my friends messaged me today, and they're like, "We're gonna go for Bijan in the first round." I said, "They probably will do it. Like they know we need offensive line and everything else in the book, and they'll be like, you know what? We took a running back 3 years in a row now, and within the first 3 rounds, let's do it again. It's got to work this time."
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up though, because I thought about this before the show and I forgot about it until you mentioned it. Like, Breece Hall is great. He did great and everything, right? And a lot of people wanted him, and for good reason. He's a great player. But you have to look at our team. Our team doesn't really feature a running back like the Jets featured Breece Hall. So if we took Breece Hall, he would have got 6 carries a game, 7 carries a game, and maybe not even played, because that's how we treat rookies most of the time. He fit perfectly on the Jets because they have a terrible quarterback and an experienced offensive skill positions. Mm-hmm. And then you wanted to focus on Jets football, which was running and defense, which got him into the championships in 2010. But if we took Breece Hall, it wouldn't have been like that. So I know people think like it's a great pick to pick Bijan in number 27, which he probably is a first-round running back, but you got to look at the team. We're not a team that focuses heavily on a running game, because we use Josh for part of it as well. You really want a running back for our team. You want to be like 70-30, 60-40 at the very most of split. And that's just how we're set up. You pay $300 million for a quarterback, top 3 in the league. You want to get the ball in his hand. You don't want to put the ball in a running back's hand, especially when you have a terrible offensive line. So I'll be very frustrated, would be an understatement. Would I be surprised? Absolutely not. Do I think it's probably going to be something like that? Yeah. But I'm just hoping and praying. That's why I'm not excited right now, because I know they're gonna make me mad in the next month.
They're gonna do whatever you don't want them to do.
Yeah. So I'm hoping we do a smart decision on what we need, because like you guys mentioned, running back, sure, it's a nice glamorous pick, but there's so many other positions in need that we don't need to focus on a running back right now. But I mean, oh man, I don't even want to know what I'll act like. I'll just have to turn off I'll exit out of the live stream, because I don't want to make us look bad.
I just got off the call with Bean. I gave him a call. I said, look at this young man. Do not pick a running back in the first round. Go talk to Sean. Sean, I'm gonna give you his number after the show. I want you to talk to him. Have a heart to heart.
Oh yeah, we need
Brett, you talk to us about Johnson, and then give us your thoughts. If the Bills were to take a running back, what's your reaction going to be on live TV?
Oh man! So I'm going to answer the taking a running back in the first round. I'm not going to be as pissed off as Sean. I promise you. I will not turn the camera off. I'll keep the screen on. I'll stay on with you guys. But if we go Bijan Robinson first round, I'm going to be kind of upset. But I mean, it depends on what he can bring to the table. You know, if he's going to be a great running back, I'll be happy in a few years. But, you know, it depends on when we utilize him, because we don't utilize running backs necessarily. And we also don't utilize offensive line very well in Buffalo. We have to work on being better at that. So I want to see Buffalo go into the draft, make sure you get the prospect that you want, and then we utilize him. So if we utilize him and we do exactly what we're supposed to do, I'll be happy. But I don't think we're going to utilize a running back this year. So I'll be a little bit upset. But I really like Johnson. I think he would fit into Buffalo. He has the size. He's the biggest running back that we're going to talk about today. And I also think that he also fits in as a return specialist and a special teamer. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the Bills. And you know what? We could double dip and we could go with Robinson first round and then go after Johnson in the fifth or sixth round. Can you imagine that, Sean?
Oh, jeez, Pete.
Yeah,
man, I just take a year off from football.
Right. Jake, why don't you answer your brother's question?
Lakers, that's a great question. I think
it is
it's
a great
very
question.
possible, especially when you lose key pieces for an offense. I mean, this year we're not losing a ton of key pieces on offense. It's actually on the defensive side of the ball, and that is, I guess, on the defensive side, that is certainly an option to overhaul and switch up the scheme a little bit, you know, bring in some newer players and maybe you can run a different defense. Not saying you have to switch to like a 3-4, but maybe you get out of the base nickel and you have 3 linebackers instead of 2, or you continue utilizing the same scheme and you just throw in more blitzes and you're more aggressive or whatever. So I think it's very doable. I think, especially with how the Bills will draft this year, it's going to be the most important in terms of scheme because these guys are basically the future. I mean, they really are. And I say that because most of these guys that we're drafting this year, I think they're going to have very important roles. I don't think they're going to be, you know, sitting and not having playing time. I know the Bills are notorious for doing it, but I think, you know, the first 3 rounds, all these guys have to be major hits. Like, we have to get the right dude there because they're going to be playing a lot this year.
I completely agree with you, Jake.
That's an understatement because jobs are on the line. And like I said, if, you know, Bean's been backdating all these contracts and, you know, money years from now to players. And if we don't start building now with this draft and hit on almost every single pick, it's going to be very hard in the next couple of years when we're giving everybody away but Josh Allen. And we're back to the same old living in the basement and depressed all the time with football. That's why it's super important. And, you know, we've noticed, like, we've let them being in McDermott, getting us out of the drought, cloud us about what the real purpose of them is. And that's to win a Super Bowl or at least get to one. And because they've broken us out of the drought and we've made the playoffs for years and been a winning team, winning 13 games 2 years out of their tenure, it clouds some people's vision, which is fine. But don't let it distort the true purpose is to win a Super Bowl. So they've been drafting good players. Nobody's been a game changer besides Josh and Trey. And, you know, you have to draft some outstanding talent. You can't just have good pieces that fit on your team that they're okay. Like Rousseau has proven to be a good fit, but he's not a game-changing player.
Yeah.
You know, we got to do something like that this year. And, you know, if we can do that and they get playing time and then, you know, the offensive line gets rebuilt a little bit and, you know, like you mentioned about the defense, I said earlier in the year when all this was happening, we should just focus on the offense, build up the offense, because when you play a team like Kansas City or Cincinnati, you're not going to beat them with defense anyway. Balance doesn't beat those teams. You have to be overpowered on offense because they're going to score regardless. So I think our defense should change because you got to be high flying, eager, blitzing, ready for, you know, trying to force turnovers and just opportunistic instead of what we usually do, just sit around and wait and, you know, rely on a secondary when, you know, it's going to be a little bit different this year.
Yeah, 10 points isn't going to cut it for the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs.
No.
You got to do something more on offense. I think Johnny said it best, bud.
Yeah, I love it. I hope you like your new spot up top there, Sean. I noticed that the messages were covering you up, and we need to have the pretty faces up near
Oh,
the
come
top.
on, Mike.
So
You're
let's
beautiful.
go. Let's go.
Depends who,
We got-
depends who you ask.
Finally, we're going to get into our fourth running back, our final running back, Mr. Eric Gray, and the young gun, Brett McDurphy, is going to talk about Eric. Go ahead, Brett.
All right, guys. You want to talk about a Buffalo Bill? This is the Buffalo Bill right here. You talk about somebody that can come in and play in the snow. He can do it all. This is the running back that is going to be the only running back to win the Super Bowl this year. He is a violent running back. He's a little bit smaller, so he does fit into small spaces. He reminds me of someone that I like to call the nuisance that you have in your house. And if you think about that nuisance bug, or you think of that nuisance, you know, little rat that comes into the house and then you can't find him for a while, this is the running back that I'm talking about. So he is a compact runner. He fits exactly what Buffalo needs. He is also a really good pass catcher out of the backfield, lowers his shoulders. He fights for extra yards. And I think he can also be someone who can also protect for Josh Allen as well in the pass game. He reminds me so much of a former running back that we had, Fred Jackson. And he's a little bit smaller than Fred was, but he's a little bit of a mix between Fred Jackson and I would say LaShawn McCoy. He's pretty much a bowling ball is the term that you call him. And he thrives in the screen game just like Fred Jackson did. That's why he reminds me so much of him. But he's also really good at lowering his pads, and he'll fight for the extra yardage. And that's why he reminds me so much of Fred Jackson back in the day when Fred would go out there and he was out of college, fight for the extra yardage, give everything he has. And he was really, really good for Buffalo. So I know that the numbers don't look necessarily great, but these are numbers that are pretty much, if you think of Madden, you know, you look at the run blocking. I shouldn't have put that in as a category for us. I really should have put in other categories. But if you look at the numbers, I mean, the size is 5'9". That's not the highest numbers, but you look at the weight, 207. That's right there where you need a running back. And he's also a senior that runs a 4.44. So, I mean, that's pretty good numbers for me. He has the burst that you can see, you know, and he can explode. Reminds me so much of, like I said, Fred Jackson, where he gets into the small spaces and then he takes off and gets you a nice touchdown. So I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on Eric Gray. And I did spell his name wrong, so I apologize about that.
Oh no, Eric's going to be upset with you.
You lose points.
I gotta ask you guys: he's a senior? Was he at the Senior Bowl? And if so, did anyone hear any things about him and how he did?
I'm not sure if he was at the Senior Bowl, but I do know that you want to talk about like acceleration. I think he's one of the best in terms of, you know, prospects that we're looking at this year. I know he's going to be a late round pick, but he's a one step and go. I mean, he's unreal at that. And I'll say this, I actually think that's a hell of a comparison to Freddie Jackson. I think a current comparison is Miles Sanders, very similar with his game. You know, he could take a screen pass to the house. I think he doesn't have insane speed, but he ran 4.4, so that's pretty damn good. I mean, I think he tested extremely well. He jumps out of the gym. He 37.5-inch vertical, I believe it was too. So, yeah, I really like this kid. You know, he's older. He has experience. I think he can develop into a starter in the NFL. I really do. I think he has the talent to do it. He played at a big program like Oklahoma, so that's huge. Would love to have an opportunity to get him in the late round. You know, I think 6th round is a very solid projection for him. So I'm all for it, man. I think he would add a very nice piece of depth to the Bills' backfield.
Was he
Before you go, Sean, I just wanted to say one thing about him. This is one of the reasons I considered him is because I was thinking about running backs, and I was also thinking about different ways that the Bills' offense struggled last year. One of the ways we really struggled was in the red zone. We weren't very good at the beginning of the season. And I said, what could Buffalo do better? And I felt like we put so much pressure on Josh Allen in the red zone. He had to throw the ball. He had to also run the ball. Now you have a running back that can go in there. He can fight for the first downs. He can also fight for the touchdowns. You put him in there, he's going to bulldoze after that linebacker. He'll lower his head, and he'll go in there and get you some touchdowns. So this is another way, Jake, for you to utilize Reggie Gillum. Get him in there.
Yeah.
Get him to fill the hole for Eric Gray. So.
You're getting me fired up by saying that. I love that.
Was he a starter?
Yes, this is actually he was. I think it was his only full-time starter year. He put up some good numbers. He was like 1,300 plus yards and I think 11 touchdowns. So really nice year. Yeah.
All right, Sean, your thoughts on Mr. Gray?
Yeah, I love the physicality aspect of his game, and you know when you look at guys that are on the short side like him and Motor, they make up for it in the physicality. I mean, maybe it's because they got like all this built up rage of people think I'm small, I can't do it, so I'm just gonna pop them like I'm big. And playing bigger than your size is one thing. I'm not comparing him to Motor, but it's one thing I like about him is that he plays bigger than he is. And Eric Gray's a perfect example of that. And you know, again, not the biggest guy in the world, but he definitely brings an explosive part. He would be an explosive part to the offense.
He's not on my list. Obviously, you can see why he's 5'9". Doesn't make my criteria. And I'll tell you another reason why I want a tall guy is I want a guy who can go up and grab a ball. Josh Allen, how many times, like with these shorter guys, he's got to throw the ball perfect to them. They're not going to be able to elevate that high and make that catch. I want a guy who can catch the ball.
His vertical, though, Mike.
You're gonna, all right, his vertical. Well, maybe.
There's always a rebuttal.
What's his vertical? What's his vertical?
37.5.
Oh, all right. I think I can do that. Come on.
So that's like 6 feet.
I think I have a 30 vertical myself. So I'm just saying, if I'm 6 feet and I've already got an edge on you, and I don't know what Rashawn Johnson's vertical was, maybe we should go back to that. So think about that.
Go back to that. Get that answer.
I want to say he was low 30s.
All right. Give me his vertical. And 31.5. And what'd you say this guy's was?
37.5.
Okay, that's pretty good.
So those 6 inches, I mean, that's a hell of a vertical.
But I'm sure Rashawn, let's see, Rashawn has, what his arms like? 32 inches. What's this gentleman have?
It's a great question.
That's important. Anyhow, I don't want to get into the details, but again, I want that bigger guy. Just, it seems like it would help with the passing game as well.
Nothing wrong with that, Mike. Nothing wrong with that.
I get it.
Ray's arms are 29 5/8.
See, he's losing 3 inches right there. So come on, man. It's all going to work out. Give me the bigger
We're big on
back.
undersized players.
I know.
If you look at wingspan, his wingspan is 28 inches shorter than Dwan Jones.
Oh my
that is
God.
insane.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Oh, God.
But,
all right. Well, listen, let's move on. We've been 44 minutes on just the running backs.
Yeah, holy cow.
We'll see if we can pick this up a little bit. Maybe let's do this. The person that's going to talk about him, and we'll go to one other person. How's that sound, guys? And I'll switch it up. We'll switch it up. So for this one, let's see. Who is Jalen Hyatt? Who's going to be talking about him? Is that your guy, Sean?
Yeah.
All right, Sean. Over to you, buddy.
Well, he fits the 6 foot tall criteria.
Right, I like it.
Which is awesome. But the main reason I picked him, and again, I don't think he's going to follow us anyway. It's kind of just like I like this guy's game. When we talked about it a month ago, probably I mentioned how we need a guy with burner speed because most of our receivers can't separate. And I'm looking at a guy like Jalen Hyatt because he's got the speed and he can create separation extremely well. And again, he's definitely, especially now, I didn't know he was going to go early first, but after his combine, he's definitely creeped up even farther. And I don't think he's in any mock drafts past 25. So that will get him. But he's definitely a guy that would definitely separate and create more opportunities for Stephon Diggs as well. Because when Diggs is double teamed and bracketed, we don't have anybody that can just take the top off. Sometimes Gabe can, but he doesn't have that continuous burner speed. He could just get you once in a while. Jalen Hyatt's a guy that can do that continuously and even play in the slot a little bit. So I would definitely like this guy on our team. Again, probably for my next 2 picks, I doubt we'll even have a chance at him. But I picked these guys because they can definitely change our dimension in our game. So it'd be nice.
So Sean, real quick, obviously we'd probably have to move up the board for him. Do you have anything in mind to make that move? What are you willing to give up?
See, I had a conversation with people about the Derrick Henry trade, and not just you guys, but we're not in the position to really give up a lot because, again, we had to restructure and re-sign some of our bigger contracts, and we barely freed up much. And that just goes to show how much in cap hell we really are for the next few years. And we need capital. So if I'm giving up something, I don't want it to be a lot. So it had to be like maybe a late round pick. It would be the most I would give up in a situation that we're in. But again, it'd be nice to get him. But when it comes down to it, I doubt he's going to fall to us. And I don't want to give up too much based on the position that we're in, for a draft prospect. But I mean, I don't know. I might just be a different opinion, but I just don't think we're in a great position right now with money and capital where, because we're in a win now mode, but then do we want to sell out and be like the Rams and then be trash for the next decade and then have to trade all your good players? You want a top 5 corner for a 3rd round pick. Do we want to end up in that situation, or do we want to be smart, build young, and have a great future? So I don't know what I'd be willing to give up, but it wouldn't be much to move up.
Well, let me throw it to the trade king over here, Mr. Brett McDurphy. The guy, he's probably the most creative with all his mock drafts. I mean, talk to us first of all, your opinion on Hyatt. Obviously, he's been touted as the best receiver on the board, but if you had to get creative, talk to us about what you would do, Brett, because we know how creative you can get.
Okay, I'm going to say one thing. When I do a lot of these trades, I do it just because I think it pisses Sean off a little bit. So I kind of do it just to try and get his opinion on it. But no, I'm just kidding when I say that. But, I would consider a trade up to maybe like 23 or so. But I would probably give up maybe a 2nd round pick and a player. But I wouldn't give up too much more than that. I would trade picks, 2nd round pick, player. But I wouldn't do like, a starter or anything like that. Maybe like Isaiah McKenzie or something like that. But other than that, I mean, I think there's a lot of talent that's deeper in the draft that we could go after too. So I don't necessarily think it's something that we have to do. And we don't have a lot of picks this year either. So, it's something that we have to think about too.
Yeah, great point.
To Blake's point, yeah, it did free up 32, which is incredible, but we were already negative 16 in it anyway. So
yeah,
they only really freed up 16 mil for us. And then once you think about that, once you pay rookies, you got like 8, and then you got to re-sign people, and we're still in cap hell, and it stinks because we didn't think we were going to be in this position because, again, we were blinded by Bean's a genius, McDermott's the best. They got us out of the drought, and then now we're slowly figuring out what we're really in. And again, 32 million is great. If we were at 0 and we got 32 million, I'd be like, yes, let's go. And now we can get McClinchy or somebody great. But now it's just like we're kind of just backtracking enough just so we can keep afloat a little bit longer. We're gonna keep doing that, and then hopefully they can fix it, but it's just going to be very hard for them to. But Brett, you would give up a 2nd round pick to move up 4 spots, though?
2nd round pick in 2025. I wouldn't give it up next year. I should have clarified that. I wouldn't give up a pick this year. It would have to be a pick in the future. But Sean, another good point that you mentioned about the salary cap, you also have to factor in, and this is something that we should have probably started the show on, is that Matt Milano signed a contract extension,
Yes.
freeing up $6 million. So we do have $22 million
Tim
with Von Miller and Josh Allen's contracts that were restructured. And it's not a decision that the players get to make, Sean. So it's actually a decision that the GM gets to make. And then the players don't have an option on it. It's just based on what the team wants to do. So they take the salary cap, they get to restructure it. They go down to the veteran minimum for their age, and then they just restructure it after. So in terms of their contract, so let's say Vaughn has 5 more years on his contract. That will now go into, I think his was like 11 million that we're going to restructure. So that's, $2 million extra per year that they're going to put onto his contract. So it's not necessarily bad. They're just going to give him the signing bonus now, and that'll free up space on the cap now. It'll go $2 million each year. And then I know the numbers are a little high, but that's how it's going to be. And then Josh Allen's is 21 million, so they'll spread it out. I think we have him until 2028 after that season. So we can spread it out for a number of years. So that's 5 years. You can spread it out, 4 million more per year. I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, let's get on to the next wide receiver. By the way, Jake, did you get Blake to sign the contract to be our health specialist? I've been
We're working
telling
on
you
it.
to get that over to him. Is he
Yeah.
coming back with some changes that he wants? Because I haven't seen the final contract signed yet. So hopefully
Yeah, I'll
he's
keep
not
you
asking.
posted.
Hopefully he's not asking too much. Come on, Blake. And where's Big L today? Where's Big L? He's been a
He
little
was
quiet
playing
lately.
cards tonight. I know he was playing a little
Oh,
bit
he's
of poker
playing
tonight,
cards.
so-
Sunday night poker? Is that his day? Is that
Yep.
is that
Well, it's becoming a day. So
right.
our good friends, they've been hosting games and stuff at their house, and it seems every Sunday night they like to do it. So, and I'm always like, damn it, I'm always busy. I always have something going on. So, yeah.
I love me a good poker game. So hopefully when I get back there to Buffalo, I can sit in on one of his games. Let's move on to Zay Flowers. This is
Yeah.
Jake. This is your guy. You've been
Yeah.
high on him. You've been talking about him for quite some time. So talk to us
I
about
have
Zay.
loved this young man since day one. I think he is a fantastic prospect. I think he is one of the toughest, grittiest prospects that we can look at and target. Mike, he doesn't fit your size criteria, but he plays well above his size. This is Steve Smith Sr. 2.0. Literally, you look at the measurables, you put them side by side. They actually had a graphic that they posted on NFL Network. They are almost identical in terms of size. They're also identical in terms of how they play the game. So I think he is he brings an attitude that the Bills are missing on offense. He grinds, he works his tail off to get those extra yards, and he is, he's always playing with the chip on his shoulder. So this is a guy that I would love to get. I know you see the 5'9", 182, but like I said, he is literally Steve Smith. So whatever we have to do to get him, I'm actually okay if we move up a few spots to even take him, because he is that much of a playmaker. He could work the short part of the field. He can play intermediate routes. He could do the deep ball. I mean, he's unbelievable at all of it. He's one of the most complete receivers, in my opinion, in this draft class. So, yeah, I think this is a guy that the Bills need to definitely move up and take if they have to.
All right. Well, I'll take this one as the second guy to talk about him. He does not meet my height requirement, and his speed wise, if I want a 5'9" guy, he better be Tyreek Hill 4'3", 4'3", 4. I mean, he better be in the 4.3s. Now, I trust you, Jake. You watch a lot more college football than I do. So if you say this guy's a playmaker and a difference maker, then I'm
Just
all
think
in.
Steve Smith, Mike.
I'm all in. But yeah, I know Steve Smith was amazing. So if he could live up to Steve Smith, then fantastic. I just had a little drawing delivered to me by my little boy. He's been
I love
becoming
it.
an
Stewart.
artist. So
That's
good
awesome,
job,
man.
Jonah. Good job.
Heck yeah, Jonah.
Anyhow, I would love it. Again, you're gonna have to make a move. If you're only moving up, I don't know. Every time we've done a mock draft, this guy's been taken before number 27. He's been anywhere from 20 to 25. So we're gonna have to make a move. You're gonna have to get creative. And what are you willing to give up, Jake?
I know it brings a good point here. I mean, maybe a third rounder. If it's only a couple spots, I mean, I don't know if it's going to demand a second rounder to move up, but you never know. I mean, we saw what the Panthers and Bears pulled off in their latest trade. And the Panthers gave up so much to get to that first spot to move up 8 picks. I know it's the first overall pick, obviously, but and now it's funny they want to move back. They're trying to trade out of that position again. So not really sure what the hell's going on there. David Tepper has to sell that team. Holy cow, it's a nightmare. But anyways, no, I think he's worthy of it. He's a playmaker. He will bring an energy to this offense that we've been missing. You see Steph Diggs getting emotional and getting pissed off on the sidelines and stuff. Well, I think, a lot of people are upset about that, but that's passion. That's emotion. That's something that this offense is missing. We don't really have anyone else like that. So pair Steph with another guy. Take some heat off of him. When he's getting bracketed, this is a guy you're going to go to. He can catch the deep ball. He can create separation. He's unbelievable in the intermediary routes. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. He's a complete player. I absolutely love him, and I think he is he's absolutely worthy of a first-round pick.
All right.
My one question is, can he fight like Steve Smith could?
Oh, yeah. I know Steve Smith's pretty famous for a couple of fights. I know he broke Chris Gamble. I think him and Chris Gamble got into a fight in practice. He was on the field at one time. He got ejected from the game. I love it too. His post-game press conferences are legendary, man. Like some of the stuff he would say, he would always say "ice up, son," and all these other things. He talked about how an old man dogged another man, and it was just incredible, man. So I miss Steve Smith. He better be in the Hall of Fame because they need to get him in. They really do.
All right. Well, let's move on to our next, our third receiver. And Blake, if it's a matter of money, talk to us. Jake and I are willing to negotiate for sure. Let's get it. Wait, we got another tank? Are you kidding me?
I love it.
2 tanks. That's rare. So let's go to the young gun, Brett McDurphy. Talk about Tank Dell. I love the name, Tank Dell.
So his actual name is Nathaniel Dell. He's a third round projected receiver. He's been falling off the draft boards. A lot of people are concerned about his size, but he actually plays better to his size than most people think. If you're looking for a guy, and I know, Jake, you're looking for Zay Flowers, this is the cheaper option for Zay Flowers.
Yep.
He is someone who can come into the NFL. He's going to be a returner. He's also going to be somebody that's the gadget player. He is a much better version of Isaiah McKenzie. That's what he reminds me of. And if you look at his numbers, he was highly productive in the 2 years that he was with the Houston team. And I watched him play against SMU. Holy cow, this kid is good. If you look for multi-touchdown games and you're looking at a guy that can explode on the offensive side of the ball, this is the guy that you're looking for. Now, primarily he played in the slot position, which was somewhere where Buffalo struggled last year. And I think this is a player that has excellent acceleration. He can also be a guy that can help Josh Allen in the yards after catch. You heard what Brandon Beane said. We're looking for guys that can get yards after catch. So I think we got the guys on the outside. You can take a little bit off of Gabe Davis. You can take a little bit off of Stephon Diggs. And you can go after Tank Dell. You can utilize him in the slot. And he can be a quarterback's best friend, just like Cole Beasley was. So he reminds me so much of Cole Beasley in a sense, too, because he's the quarterback's best friend. He was productive in his career, 2,700 yards in 2 years and 29 touchdowns. So you can tell that he's going to make some plays in the NFL, but there's a couple of little issues that he has with size, as well as his wingspan and route tree is not the same as Cole Beasley has. But I think he can fit in the zone coverage, and I think he'll get open no matter where he is on the field. So I think he's a guy that we should go after, and if he's available in the 3rd round or even in the 4th round, he has been slipping a little bit. If we can go after him, he's someone I want to take.
All right, let me throw it to Sean for your thoughts on Mr. Tank Dell.
Well, I love his skill set, but I'm 100% with you, Mike, especially with receiver about height. We're already severely undersized with a lot of it. And, like you said, Josh got to basically have perfect pinpoint accuracy to hit some of these guys. And, a guy as undersized as him, not only is he short, but he's very light as well. That kind of turns me off. And not that he's not a great player. And obviously you can get more muscle, but we need another big body receiver. Yep, Steph Diggs is great. Davis is a big body receiver, but I want another one because you need size when it comes to any kind of passing because your catch radius is bigger. A tip pass may not turn into an interception. It's easier to fight for contested catches. It's easier to bat down possible interceptions. And again, he's a great talent, but I want another big receiver, at least 6 foot tall for receiver. Not so much running back for me, but I will agree with Mike on height for receiver because again, you got a great big quarterback, and you like to throw the ball, every which way, every angle, high, low, and you got to be able to get it to him. So I don't know, I like the height, I like the skills, but the height kind of turns me off.
Yeah.
John, you don't want to play with the Smurfs?
Huh?
You don't want to play with the Smurfs?
No, not really. But
Remember a couple of years ago we had the Smurfs. We can bring them back. We got John Brown. We got Cole Beasley. We can bring them all back. Play with the Smurfs. And see how it works again.
Yeah, no, like I said, doesn't mean he can't be good, but there's something with me, and I want long, tall receivers that can get up and get anything and can fight. And if you're tall and skinny, it's a little bit better, but I mean, too many short people on a team, it kind of just not that it's easier to guard you because you're small, but there's a difference. I mean, Jake played at college level. He kind of understands is like you got a big corner like Sauce Gardner, 6'4", then you got a 5'8" Tank Dell. Is he going to get the ball? No, because Sauce is just as fast.
He'll put the clamps on him.
And again, we only play him twice a year, but you have to think like there's not many corners that are, 5'8" that are going to go against him. You got to be able to beat him with something. And he's pretty fast, but often all of the corners are pretty fast as well. So again, I like the talent of the kid, but for the Buffalo Bills, I like a bigger receiver, at least 6 foot, and that could also bring speed and route tree, catch radius, fight for those contested catches, because that's the big thing with us. Gabe Davis was decent at it, but how many of them did he drop? Even in that playoff game, if he caught that stupid pass on 70-yard bomb on 3rd and 3, as bad as we played, we were in the game at that point, and he dropped it. So, even he's a tall guy and he still drops some, but it's a big importance.
I got you covered, Sean. So after we lost Isaiah Hodgins and I saw your disappointment and we came back this year in the draft, I said, look, I'm seeing all these guys, Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, they're like 5'8", 5'9". They run a 4.49. This guy does. I think Zay runs a 4.44. I got a guy who can run that. I got a guy who's tall. I got a guy who's over 200 pounds.
Okay.
Andre Osafas. Are you kidding me? Bring this man on our team. Draft him. He's 5th rounder. First of all, he was at the Senior Bowl. Shined there. He at the Combine. He shined there. I mean, look at the height. 6'3", 205 pounds. He is a track star as well. And I'm going to give you one of the numbers here. So at the Combine, his athleticism score was 84, which ranked 9th amongst wide receivers. He's got everything you want. Everything you want. He has the speed. That speed matches up with Zay Flowers. Matches up with the last guy you had on the board. Why would you not want this guy who's basically, 6 inches taller than those other two guys we talked about? Jake, you're going to have to sell me a lot more on your boy Zay Flowers in the 1st round than to wait for 5th round to take a gentleman like this. Come on.
Why not both? Let's take both.
Look how handsome he is, too.
I mean, he's a good-looking man, too. We got
dude, yeah.
He did well in Buffalo.
He's kind of ugly. We got to boost that up a little bit.
Anyhow,
you play good. So
I love this guy. Like I said, check the Senior Bowl reports, check the Combine. He's been going up the board, and the 5th round seems to me like absolutely ridiculous. I think he goes in the 4th, but that's just my thoughts on this young man. So I will throw it to Jake, because you're big on Zay. Tell me, what's Zay bringing to us for a 1st round pick over this guy who could go in the 5th round?
I think the attitude stuff that is kind of uncoachable. He plays above his size. He's so gritty. I mean, he can take a screen pass to the house. He's not afraid to block a little bit in the run game. I mean, he could play and make an impact at every single part or level of the field, short, intermediary, and deep. And I think that's something that, this kid is very good. I think he's still very raw. Athleticism through the charts. Actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Isaiah Hodgins, to be honest with you. Faster than Isaiah Hodgins, But a guy that you're going to get in the 5th round, later rounds, also played at Princeton, Ivy League school. Love that. Love the small school guys. Not opposed to taking both guys, Mike. Like I said, take Zay in the 1st, take this kid in the 5th. It's more weapons for Josh. And don't let him get away, because we're already seeing what's going on with Isaiah Hodgins. I think this is Isaiah Hodgins 2.0, and the Bills can't mess it up this time.
Yep, definitely a chance to redeem themselves. So absolutely love this guy. Sean, he meets all our criteria, man. Both of you are in
100%.
agreement
I mean,
here.
I'm already in love with it. I mean, can he play special teams though? Because they'll probably cut him if he doesn't. But
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
he can. He could be a gunner for special teams. So I think that is bye-bye Jake Kumaro.
I mean, just think about it. In the red zone, you got Diggs, Lozavaz, Davis, Josh Allen, Knox. You got a plethora of tall, great weapons that you could go to, and Dorsey has no excuse why we're not one of the best red zone offenses in the NFL. I mean, 6'3", 205, as big bodied as you can get for a receiver, and again, the speed to match.
John, do you want us to go back after Kelvin Benjamin?
Yeah, well, he's not fast.
So let me throw this, Jake. You were talking vertical jump, 39-inch vertical jump, 39-inch.
That's impressive.
Are you
I'm
kidding me?
sold.
All right, let's
I don't
go.
care that he went to Princeton. I'm sold.
Where's my phone? Let me
Bring
get
him in.
Look at Bean on the phone right now. We'll talk to him.
But this is a Buffalo pick though.
Yeah.
Under the radar.
Absolutely is.
Not a big school, athletic. The only thing is, I would just, especially if Jake said pick both of them, I would be even more worried that we don't keep him, because if you pick both of them, they'll probably cut him to keep Jake Kumaro on the team again.
No.
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 This is Jake Kumaro 2.0, but
this is a great replacement for him.
This is
Yeah.
such a great value too. I mean, man,
and he can be a deep threat. Look at his deep threat score at a 98%. That's incredible.
Diggs, Davis, if he can fix his untimely drops. I know Diggs had more drops, but if Davis can fix his untimely drop situation, and you got this guy in here running down the seam, and you got Diggs creating separation and getting double teams on him. Who's going to go one-on-one with this guy?
Mike, this is a great pick that you got here, because
Incredible value. It really is.
You have to think about something else though, guys. Gabe Davis is going to be a free agent next season. So if you pick up a guy like Iosivas and you can have him play behind Gabe Davis for a year, then you can also have him come in and play next year, get a little bit more of a little bit bigger of a package that he can play, and then he could be the number 2 in the offense. So I think this is a great fit. And, like Jake, you said, you can go after somebody in the 1st round, then grab him in the 5th round, and you fill the slot position, and you also fill the outside position as well.
Hey, don't forget, we still got Khalil Shakir. So
Exactly.
I mean, we're just building. We're just getting more depth, if anything.
When I mentioned how there's guys like Sauce Gardner who's 6'4" and pretty fast, he's the guy that could beat him, because you got to remember at the same time, the wide receiver always has the edge, just because they know what they're doing, the corner doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a guy who's just as big, just as fast, if not a little faster, then it'll be a mismatch, or at least a great fight. And then they're going to have to decide. I know it's just division games, but like if they got Aaron Rodgers and they're competing for a division, it's even more important. So then they got to decide: do we want to put Sauce on Diggs or this guy who's bigger than Diggs, faster than Diggs, maybe not as good as them, but if we let him beat us, then we're screwed. If they go on him with Sauce, and you got Diggs on DJ Reed, and then you got even Davis wide open in the slot or whatever. It creates so much more mismatches for the Jets defense or any defense. And, we got to remember, got to win a division first. Divisions are always tough. And, the Dolphins and the Jets are getting better, and we haven't done anything yet. So got to keep that in mind when you're building your team, because it's not just about beating the Chiefs, because we proved that you built your team around beating the Chiefs and you don't even get to play them and you still lose. You got to be able to beat everybody.
Yeah. And the latest rumor I heard is Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. So I don't want to get into that now, but that's what I'm hearing. So
I do want to ask, if tampering's not legal till tomorrow, how come they were able to go to Aaron Rodgers' house and Ramsey was able to finalize a deal with the Dolphins today.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. So those are trades, so it's a little bit different. So I don't think it
Okay.
technically counts as free agency. Yeah, it's kind of in a
Oh,
different
free
category.
agent tampering. Okay, I thought it was just
Right.
tampering in general. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it
Oh,
is
yeah.
interesting. Well, Derek Carr was actually released. He wasn't technically a free agent, so
Yeah.
that's the reason why he was able to sign with the Saints. But yeah, so tomorrow officially starts the negotiation period with those free agents, and they'll officially sign those contracts on Wednesday, 4 p.m.
So we'll see with Motor and Dane Jackson. I know they're both. They'll be probably the first two.
Yeah.
us. We'll see.
Well,
Yeah.
Sean, I really searched hard for this person. I hope you're happy with him. The only thing I think that keeps him away from the Buffalo Bills, if it's Josh Allen says, no, he's too pretty to be on this team, I need to be the face of the Buffalo Bills. I could see this man doing a lot of chicken wing commercials in Buffalo and all kinds of stuff. He's got that face. That's the only thing. Otherwise, Bill should be all over this guy. Come on. Let's go.
agree.
That's all I got to say. Let's move on to the tight ends here. And the first tight end we're going to go to, where is he here? It's going to be Sean with Michael Mayer.
I mean, man, I this is kind of just like
Sean's
a wish
all about
list. I
first
really
round
don't-
picks.
yeah, I really don't think he's gonna fall to us. But I mean, when you think about this guy, you're thinking of like Gronk 2.0. And I love Dawson Knox. He's athletic, he's strong, but he was very raw, even in Ole Miss. What do he have, like 3 catches his whole career, something crazy small like that? This guy would, if you could come in here, you got Michael Mayer, Dawson Knox, Davis, Diggs, 6'4", 250. That guy's a friggin' monster. Talk about a mammoth of a human. Not only can he pass, he can run block. He's basically like another offensive lineman when you really think about it. But I mean, this would be a perfect fit for Buffalo. Again, I don't think we'll go tight end in the first round, but as much as I want offensive line, I wouldn't be mad if we got Mayer in the first round. I'm going to be honest. I mean, any other position I would probably be a little bit upset about, but if he's there and we go with him, I won't complain at all, because I think he can come in here and instantly make us another Super Bowl contender again this year, even though we probably are. But it'll raise us even higher for Vegas if we go and draft him.
Brett, what's your thoughts on Mayer? Do you agree with Sean? Would you take a tight end in the first round? Because I'm struggling with that.
I kind of am too, Sean, just because of the depth for interior offensive line. But I think you have a really good point. Getting as many weapons to Josh Allen too will help as well. So I just think that it's a little too early to take a tight end, but this draft class for tight ends is by far the best in the last 10 years. So I would wait on the tight end, go after somebody in the second or third round if one becomes available, but I wouldn't hit on any of the tight ends in the first round.
Well, I don't think he's going to fall to us. That's all I'm saying. But if he's there at 27 for some reason, I feel like you can't pass him up. But I'm by no means trading up to get him or anything. But I think he's in the top 15, so I really don't anticipate us even going close to getting him. But just like imagining him on the Buffalo Bills, I think it's just, I mean, it's like a fairy tale land. But again, I don't think we're going to get him, and I wouldn't trade up. But if for some reason he goes to 27. And, I'd even take him over Flowers or Hyatt if they're there at 27 too. So, but God, I really don't anticipate it. But we'll see when it comes to the mock drafts too. Gives you a better idea. But I'd be shocked. That's all I'm saying. If he's there at 27, I think you have to at least consider, because we've seen what a great tight end can do for you. Travis Kelce's unguardable. Gronk was unguardable. All the great tight ends you can name right now, whether your top 5 is mine or not, because my top 5 is probably better than most. Just kidding. But 'cause I know we argued about it in a group chat with Gonzalez. But we've seen what a fantastic tight end can do for a team. The ball's going to go to them. They're not the fastest, but they're always open and they're always dominating the game. So if you could bring that to Buffalo, I mean, like I said, this guy's like Gronk 2.0. I would love it, but again, I don't think he's going to fall.
This is a great question, by the way. I want to address this. Brett just put it in our private chat here, which I think, it's a conversation, but I think you have to take the need, because I'm all about the need. He said, who would you rather take, O'Cyrus Torrence or Michael Mayer, if they're both available there at 27? So I will say this about Michael Mayer. They call him Baby Gronk. The Bills missed an opportunity to take Gronk in the draft, 13 years ago now? And, you know, probably don't want to pass up on that again. But going off of need, I think you take Osiris Torrance. However, it does beg the question, you know, if they're both available, what are you doing? Because I think value-wise, it's probably a better pick with Michael Mayer.
I'm taking Torrance again.
agree with
I'm
you.
all
Me
about
too.
I'm all
Me
about
too.
getting the offensive line first. I
Right.
do think I agree with Brett. There are some other good tight ends in this draft. And the only Michael Meyer I really know is the one that plays in Halloween. Oh wait, he spells his name a little bit different. And
Michael
that guy's-
Myers.
Yeah, that guy's a little bit of a scares me. So
Yeah.
anyhow,
Like I said, everyone, don't get. I still want offensive line, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying if for some reason he's there, I think you have to at least have the conversation.
Absolutely.
And if Torrance isn't there, and the next best guard is Avila, and again he's projected
Right.
in the second round, I still think you take Meyer because the
It's
value
a weapon.
the value there is different.
Yeah.
But again, you can still get great center and another great tackle in the second round too. So we'll see as it goes. But like I said, I got to pick O-line of course first. But if Torrance isn't there and then Meyer's there, and then you definitely have to consider it because like I said, this could change your entire team.
Right.
Because
And you got to use them too. But Trek
Yeah.
Reviewer agrees with you. He said he'll take Michael Mayer
Yeah.
all day.
well,
Yeah,
let's see if we can talk you off of Meyer with our other three tight end prospects,
John
and
Michael Schmitz.
then let's come back to this conversation with Meyer. Okay, good with that?
I like
no,
it.
of course. I'm just saying I don't think we'll get him, but
All right.
it'd be awesome.
All right, number 2 is Jake. This is Jake's guy, Darnell Washington, out of Georgia. Another projected first round tight end. Oh my goodness, to be talking about tight ends in the first round, 2 of them, is incredible. So Jake, Darnell Washington.
Perhaps the greatest riser on all draft boards after he tested and what he looked like at the combine. He is an absolute freak of nature, Mike. Look at that size, 6'7",
There we go.
264. Very, very good blocking tight end as well. But he showed that he can catch the ball, too, at the combine, just in his drills. And it's crazy because he wasn't even a starter at Georgia, but he was playing behind Brock Bowers, who's arguably the best tight end in the nation this past year. So it's hard to, get playing time with a guy like that ahead of you, who's going to be a potential first-round pick as well in the future here. But Darnell Washington, man, I think he gives you that huge weapon in the red zone that Josh Allen has been looking for. I mentioned Mike Gesicki when we were talking free agents a while back, Mike. This is a guy that fulfills that need. 6'7", wingspan, insane. This guy, I think athleticism score tested as number 1 or 2 for the tight end group. And he just, you talk about weapons for the Bills offense. This guy is going to bring it. He's an incredible inline blocker. Does a great job of, creating separation, being able to make athletic plays on the field as well as a pass catcher. You look at comparisons. A lot of people have been comparing him to Darren Fells, who I think is a very good comparison, very similar in size as well there. But a guy that you can work in, and he would be a great complementary tight end to Dawson Knox. So I don't know if first round necessarily is a spot to take him. If he's available in the second, third round, absolutely. Great value pick there. So I'm all for it. I think this guy is fantastic. And again, as I said, probably the greatest riser for all tight ends in this draft class.
I like it. Let me throw it to Brett. Brett, your thoughts on Darnell? And if they're both first rounders, I have not seen him in the first round. Is this something that's come to recent light where he's been jumping up the boards because of what he did in the combine? Because he was not at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, he's been rising up the boards, just like Jake said. I think the combine is what really did it for him.
Yeah.
I remember the pass blocking drill that he did at the combine where he was
Crazy.
He grabbed, he went after the machines like you would not believe. And he just, like everybody else was struggling to get their feet going. He just took it and just said, screw it, I'm done. Went down the field and just attacked the defender. And I think that he will be somebody that can set the edge when there's an edge rusher coming in. He'll set the edge. He can go out for passes. He's pretty much, if you look at the pros that I put together here, exactly what you want in a tight end. He's somebody that's going to come in and be a great blocker. He's going to be a great pass catcher. He's also going to be somebody that picks up the edge, somebody that's very coordinated that can go in and just do everything that you want. And he reminds me a lot of Dawson Knox coming out of the draft. Not a lot of work in college, but he can, take a couple years, learn behind Dawson Knox, learn what he learned as well, and then come into the NFL, be a great tight end. So he'd be somebody that could potentially in a few years replace Dawson Knox too.
He's going to learn from
love it.
Dawson that the Bills don't throw him the ball enough.
That changes this year.
What's he going to learn? Come on.
He's on. What is he on? Like a 6-game touchdown streaks that's still going into the next year.
That's true.
Oh, all right.
Red zone matters, man. And Trek Reviewer brings up a good point. He said the last tight end to play for the Bills that was 6'7" was Scotty Chandler. We miss Scott Chandler,
And
man.
Scott Chandler was amazing.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Well, let's move on with the third tight end on our radar. It's going to be Brett talking about Sam Laporta.
You want to bring up somebody
He's
that's
too short, man.
He is not too short. He plays at an excellent wingspan, and he's somebody that has a great football IQ. You talk about players coming out of Iowa. You talk about tough players. This is the tough player that has an excellent
Tight
football
end
IQ. Tight end U.
A real tight end.
He is. He really is. And he's also a very good receiving threat as well. He can get the job done pretty much everywhere on the field. Great at picking up linebackers. He's a mismatch as well. And he is a freak for athleticism. And that's what I was looking for in a tight end. Look at the 40 that he runs, guys. A 4.49 for a tight end running a 40, especially at his speed or at his size at 6'3", 245 pounds. He can be another weapon. And he can be somebody that you utilize on the outside too. Move Gabe Davis to other positions as well. Move him inside to the slot. Use him on the outside in the red zone, and he could be a guy that you go after for jump balls in the red zone. So I think he fits what Buffalo needs. Third round projection for him. He's been falling off the draft boards a little bit just because of what's happened with Darnell Washington as well as Michael Mayer. So he's somebody that's fallen off the draft boards a little bit, but he also fits into Buffalo because if you're looking for a tight end that can fit into an air raid offense, this is the tight end you're going to go after. But if you're looking for somebody that can block in the run game, you're going after a guy like Darnell Washington. So I think he fits Buffalo very well. Another weapon for Josh Allen to go after. And I also think that he can be somebody that can blossom behind Dawson Knox and learn from him and then take over his position in a few years.
Dallas Clark 2.0, literally. They went to the same school, basically the same size, both extremely good athletes. I mean, yeah, you're going to get a great kid in this prospect for sure. It's going to be great, man.
All right. Well, 4.49, not bad. I love the speed for a tight end. That's pretty damn good. Third round projection. That's kind of for me. Again, I can't take a tight end in the first round. I can taking a tight end in the third, maybe fourth, if they're gonna really bring something to the team. I think the guy I'm going to bring up has much more that he's going to bring to this team. And why do I say that? I'm just kidding, but I say that about all my guys, right? So let's go to the next guy, our last guy. We've been making some good time in these last two positions here. Zach Kuntz. Make sure you say that right. Zach Kuntz, because you're in a lot of trouble. Anyhow, 6'7", 255 pounds, 4.55 speed. I mean, again, I look for guys that are on the Bruce Feldman's freak list. Let me tell you what Bruce Feldman said about him. He's ranked 11th on his list. He wrote it. I don't know where Bruce must be measuring them somehow differently than the rest of the world, but he's got him at 6'8" and a quarter, 251 pounds. Kuntz is an eye-popping blend of great size and athleticism. This offseason, he clocked a 4.57 40 to go with his 40-inch vertical. 40-inch vertical, guys, at 6'7". Are you freaking kidding me? Red zone king. Just bring him in the red zone. I don't care if he doesn't play any other down. Just bring him inside the 20, and you got an easy touchdown. Let's go. What else did he say? His explosiveness is also reflected in a 365-pound clean. I don't know what that means. Is that what is that? His explosiveness is also
clean.
reflected.
Oh, it's clean.
Oh, it's lifts?
It is. Yeah, it's explosive workout. Yeah.
All right. So there you go, guys. I mean, 6'7". We talked about it. Scott Chandler. We had another 6'7" that one of you guys presented, and you got the speed here. Now he's raw. Don't get me wrong. He's a junior. He hasn't had a lot of, I guess he transferred to Old Dominion in his senior year, so he's a little raw. But again, when you have the type of athleticism and you already have a Dawson Knox, and to Brett's point, you play behind him for a little bit. This guy, I think he could make he could come in and be an impact player, especially around the red zone. That's my thought. Let me throw it to you, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. The blocking grade concerns me a little bit because I want a tight end that can do everything that he does, in the passing and with the speed, but I also want a guy who can block as well, because that's really what your position is. You're a blocker and a receiver, and if you can only do one, then you're not really being the best asset to the team that you could be. But I mean, like you said, he's raw, and I'm not 100% against drafting raw players, but in the 7th round with his potential, I think that's great. And if he's there and we don't have a tight end, and got to consider, do we even have a 7th round pick this year?
I don't think we do. No.
Oh no, we traded it for Dean Marlowe, who's also a free agent. We're not going to bring back anyway, so
terrible.
That's good. But
Didn't even use
if we kept our 7th round pick instead of wasting it on Dean Marlowe, we could have definitely perfectly used it on a guy like this. But
I told you about Dean Marlowe. I told you guys.
Yeah, I didn't agree with anything the Bills did this year, unfortunately. So, but
I will say this: were you saying it was his run blocking or pass blocking you were concerned about?
It's his blocking grade is at 59. I don't know.
That's combined between running and blocking.
Okay, so I want to say in his senior year, he played 13 games. He only had 12 catches for 144 yards, on average 12 yards per catch. But in pass protection, he gave up only 1 pressure and no sacks. So solid quarterback rating when targeted, 83, and again, pretty decent in pass protection. So I like it. And
yeah,
I get it. Again, a late round. If we haven't done anything, we still want a tight end. This is your guy. Is he
absolutely?
Is he match up with your guys that you guys talked about early on? No, not yet. But the potential's there. I'd be willing to take a little bit of a gamble here if I could get him.
Yeah.
And one of those 6 round. If you're looking for that 6 round guy. Here you go.
It's a great value. Great digging, Mike.
I love it.
People don't think about picks like this, and that's
right.
things you have to think about.
So all my guys met the criteria: over 6 feet or taller, over 200 pounds.
I never seen a tight end under 6 foot though, Mike. So
I know that was easy. That's why I struggled with the 6'3" guy that Brett brought up. I'm like 6'3". Come on now, Gronk was 6'6". I want a guy at least Gronk size or bigger.
I want a monster.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, that was a lot of fun. We got through those last 2 positions pretty quickly.
That was pretty good, guys.
We got time for more mock drafts now.
We're gonna set up another night for mock drafts. Not tonight, sir. I gotta roll back to work. Gotta get back to work, believe it or not. But let's set up a mock draft in the near future. I mean, I don't care if we go tomorrow night. Mock drafts are so much fun. You guys just let me know. But let's go around the board for closing thoughts. I'll start it with again, first of all, before I throw it around, please, if you like the content here, please like, comment, and smash that subscribe button on all our channels: Red, White, and Bills, Go Bills Podcast, and Nickel City Mafia. So let me throw it to Sean. Final thoughts, Sean.
Well, again, I love doing this. It brings the fun back, and like getting ready for the season, even though it's like 8 months away. It makes it seem like it's closer than it actually is. So I do love that part. And again, working with my friends here, nothing beats that. Now, I don't know any other content creators in the Bills Mafia who's doing what we're doing right now. So if you're not over here supporting us, then what are you really doing? Of course, give love to everybody else out there too.
That's right.
But definitely show us some love too, because I mean, who's got slide masters like Mike and Brett over here? Who's got a handsome guy like Jake around here? Who's got the guy that wears baseball shirts and hats to a Bills podcast? No one else does that for you. But but honestly, everybody on every platform, every channel, we all appreciate you. You guys make it even more fun than it already is, all the support you give us. And again, hopefully let's say a prayer every night to the football gods at Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. They know their job's on the line, and they start thinking like, you know what? we got to start taking what we watched in Nickel City Mafia and Go Bills podcast, Red, White, and Bill shows, and really talk to our scouts and do something good this year. Hopefully they do that. But thank you, thanks Brett for getting everything together today. Thanks for Mike for always doing the slides and being the guy who's always getting us ready and worrying about the time for us. Because as you notice when you're not here, we're like children in a candy store. We don't stop. We just do whatever we want. So. Even though we're grown adults, we still need your direction.
Exactly.
Again,
Well,
Jake,
I appreciate the.
Appreciate you guys. Love you all. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Let me throw it to you, Brett, for closing thoughts.
Well, guys, I mean, I'm not going to take all the credit for the slides. I'm going to take a moment. I want to give a shout out to my fiance, who has been phenomenal with me. She did all the slides pretty much. She was incredible. I mean, Mike, you text me at like 6 o'clock. You're like, "Are the slides done?" I'm like, "Oh crap! I didn't know if I was supposed to do the slides. What was I supposed to do?" I did some of them. I didn't do all of them. But I mean, she was a freaking rock star. I'm not going to lie to you. She's the one that did it. She's the one that's on the couch pretty much every day when I'm doing these shows, and she watches us. She deserves so much more than what I give to her on Sunday nights and the nights that I do the shows. So I'm like a little freak when I do these. I freak out all the time. I'm like, I need to do this correct. I need to do that correct. And she figures me out, but I got to give her a shout out for that. And also Shiloh for being phenomenal. My puppy, who was phenomenal throughout this whole entire process, didn't bark one time, which is a good sign. So I want to give her a shout out too. But guys, incredible job. We made it under it was almost an hour and 30 minutes that we made it under. So Vegas, hey, we hit the under, guys. First time in a long time that we hit the under. But hey, I'll take under 2 hours. We said 2 hours.
You're right.
Yeah.
Mike, you can save a little bit of time for your wife. Make sure you have a little time for her. So that'll be good. But guys, it's incredible to do this with you every week. I appreciate you guys having me on and allowing the Go Bills podcast to be a part of this. Sean, you're incredible as well. Your knowledge for the game is great. Love doing this with you. Jake, man, I can't believe how many players you know, man. I mean, you know everything about everybody. I mean, I could throw out anybody, and it's like, do you remember when back in the day when they did the draft and they threw out a guy that was like nobody even knew of, and they threw him out there, and you have to figure out if you know them or you can find any material on them. You're the guy that does that for us.
I appreciate it, man.
You're incredible about that. And
The human
Mike,
Rolodex.
I mean, keeping us on track the whole entire time. We need a guy like you every single week. So it's incredible to have you on here too. In your video with JB, man, John.
That was sweet. Check that out.
Dude, that video is so good, man. I mean, it's incredible the way you did. And I loved your questions that you asked him. And he is such a funny guy. So go out and watch that video too, because, I mean, I learned a lot about JB that I didn't even know. And his knowledge for the game is incredible too. So watch that video,
he's a
man.
hell of an
It's
athlete,
incredible.
apparently. I didn't know he was a really good athlete too.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either. So
Yeah.
Most down-to-earth guy I ever met. I mean, such a big star, right? And I was so nervous, but he made me feel at home. I mean, you would have thought I knew the guy for like 30 years, the way he talked to myself and T.O. on the show. He's known Kermit forever, so they went back to their early days. And yeah, he was a fantastic basketball player. He didn't play football, but look where he ended up, right?
I know.
But such a nice guy. And then I did hit him up. I did miss one opportunity. I wanted to ask him, for all of us, mostly you three, for folks looking to get into the sportscaster world, what do you recommend? And I'm going to ask Kermit to ask him that so I can come back to you guys with that information.
That would be awesome.
I think all of you, I want to see all of you on ESPN or some other network at some point in time because you all deserve it. I want to say thank you to Hannah very much. And maybe we can all come together and we need a social media director. Maybe we can get Hannah
definitely.
on as
there we
a
go.
social media director.
That would be awesome. I would love that.
So shout out to Hannah.
But
let me throw it to you, Jake, for closing thoughts, man.
Yeah, gentlemen, it's been a fantastic show. Always love doing these with you guys. We talked about getting Josh Allen some help, and I think any of these prospects that we mentioned would be just that and then some. So I love all of our selections, all the guys we reviewed. I think they would all be great fits here in Buffalo. So pretty fired up for it, man. Curious to see what the Bills do. And free agency starting tomorrow, technically. So be ready. we'll be ready
Yeah.
for some
Yeah.
hopefully some good news.
I'm excited
Yeah.
with all these prospects that we talked about. They've got to take one or two of these guys. They
No,
have
for
to,
sure.
Oh
right?
yeah.
We have to. I mean, we're going to transition to the defense next week, but we started on the offense for a reason, and that's because we believe that's where we need to focus. And so let's go. I'm looking forward to the mock draft in the next day or so, and then we'll come back at you late in the week with the defensive side of things. So thanks, everybody, once again. Please comment, like, and subscribe. It's right there. Just a little button. Just press it for all of us. We appreciate it. We love doing this without the subscriptions, but you know what? It makes our life even better. Let's just gives us gratitude, and we're like, man, they actually like what we're doing. If you don't like what we're doing,
Yeah.
hit that down thumb. It's okay. I'm all right with it. But
Let
if
us
you
know.
do, give us a comment and tell us what you think we should improve upon. Anyhow,
Hey, there isn't three other guys I'd rather do this with. You guys are the best.
yeah, you will not find
right,
more
man.
passionate Bills fans anywhere. And you can go listen to the ESPNs and the NFLs, and they might talk a little bit about Buffalo, but these four people on the screen, they know the Bills. We go back very far, and nobody can talk more about the Bills than any of us. So let's go. I'll see you guys soon. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Take
Go
care,
Bills.
guys.
Go Bills.